Okay, we're being live streamed, and do I have to become the host again? I just need to talk, right? I'm the host. Okay, usually I make the disclaimer that I did all my prayers before to save time, but today it hasn't happened, so please allow me 1 second to collect my thought and ask my Gurudev to allow me to be a transparent instrument, because I definitely am not qualified. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruvei Namaha Mukham Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhayate Girim Yakrapatamaham Vande Shri Gurum Dinataranam Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Vande Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityanandau Sahoditau Gaudodaya Pushpavantau Chitrau Shandau Tamonodau Vande Ham Shri Ramakrishna Vabhaya Charana Sakhau Sukhadau Paramanandau Sundarau Subalapriyau. And with the blessings of everybody else, let's see if we can start. Okay. All right, let's see if I can collect my thoughts after this little technical glitch. This is a presentation, welcome everybody, first of all. This is a presentation on a section of the Srimad Bhagavatam that discusses 24 gurus. And I've always been intrigued by this. The first time I heard it mentioned, the 24 gurus of the Bhagavatam, what does it mean? And so I'm glad. And I'm happy I got the chance to dive deeper into this section of the Bhagavatam and share whatever I realized with everybody else. Now I do have a disclaimer to make. 1 second, please. This was supposed to be a 1 month, if not 2 month presentation, meaning that. Those of you may not know, because this is recorded and everybody can access this in the future, but this was supposed to be a 4-week presentation on this section. And I said I could even make it for 2 months because it's a vast subject. Turns out we shifted, so it's going to be a once only, and I have now 40 minutes to talk about these 24 gurus, and it's going to be 2 minutes each. But no, I'll just go over it. We'll just do an overview. If and when there are enough people interested and enough feedback, we could do it that 1 week when I am the speaker, which is going to be who knows when at this point. I'll just be talking about this until it's exhaustion and discuss this topic, because as we will see, it's not really about these 24 gurus, but it's about Shri Guru and our attitude, and basically it's just Krishna consciousness, or Vedanta as we know it as Gaudiya Vaishnavas. So there is really, this context of the 24 gurus is really just the vehicle for this transcendental knowledge to be discussed and relished and meditated upon. So anyway, just to give you a little orientation, this section of the Bhagavatam appears in the 11th canto, chapter 7 and 8 and 9. Maharaj Yadu is going about his business and runs into an avadhuta. So a sadhu, an avadhuta is somebody who is, for all intents and purposes, perceived as the crazy person, the crazy in the village. I don't know if you've seen the movie Lagan, but there is this guy who's is like a mendicant, a minstrel, and the typical stereotypical image of the avadhuta. He's like the crazy of the village, but maybe he's the most realized one. And anyway, the thing is that we cannot make sense of the character of an avadhuta because they're not quite plugged into this material matrix as we still are. So anyway, Maharaj Yadu sees this avadhuta and he's so fascinated by him, by his demeanor, that he stops the how would you say, the palanquin, like he was going from one place to another. Anyway, he stops everything to talk with this person and say and comment on his behavior and his demeanor, his look. And he says, you seem so disinterested, and but yet so content. So please tell me how you got to your level of self-realization. Okay, we add this tropical bird to the 24 gurus. Actually, a bird is one of them, of the gurus. And so the Savadhuta starts talking and saying, I learned everything from these 24 gurus, and that's how I got to this level. Now, it is a very vast topic if we consider the topic of Sri Guru. So, am I going to do justice to it in 45 minutes? Maybe less if I take questions? No. So what I thought I would do is just go over the list, just go in layers. Talk about these 24 gurus as they're mentioned, and at least be acquainted with who they are, what they are, just the list of them. And then maybe see what the shloka has to say about them. And then just go deeper and deeper as the time allows us. And then where I fall short, should the consensus be that, I mean, it's a welcome thing that I would lecture on them time and again, deeper and deeper. Like I was going to take one lesson for 3 gurus every time. So now it's a bit more condensed. Then we'll see. We'll do this in a deeper and deeper way. But let's analyze the list the list of these gurus. They are, let me fetch the verse. So, starts from 11th canto, chapter 7, 33 and 35. O king, I have taken shelter of 24 gurus, who are the following: the earth, air, sky, water, fire, moon, sun, pigeon, and python, the sea, moth, honeybee, elephant, honey thief, the deer, the fish, the prostitute Pingala, the kurara bird, and the child, and the young girl, arrow maker, serpent, spider, and wasp. My dear king, by studying their activities, I have learned the science of the self. So, we can see at a general glance that basically it means the whole world can become your guru. This is actually the final teaching, the overarching teaching. But if you see this list and you analyze each verse, you see that it's very dry, very Vedantic in its approach, and they're all about, this teaches me detachment, and this teaches me not to get attached, and on and on. It's very dry in its presentation. Keep in mind that we're talking about ancient times where spiritual life was of a different flavor than our nuanced one that we have thousands of years later, and after being blessed by Mahaprabhu's contribution and revelation to what is what. So spiritual life was very much that. At the time of Maharaj Yadu, was all about, leave everything at the end of your life, go to the forest and meditate until you die. Meditate on the Absolute until you die. So it was really just the core. But I thought I would just enrich or embellish every reference, every verse about each guru with anything that we may think of as Gaudiyas or as, knowers of the Bhagavad Gita. Because technically, historically, the Bhagavad Gita hadn't been spoken then. So it's just a perspective on these verses from thousands of years later, how to make it current, and how to make all these verses speak to us, because some of them were really like, anyway, we'll see them. All right, so back to the list. If you see the earth, air, sky, water, fire, is somebody needing to say something? No, it's just a mistake. Oh, it's Sakirati's microphone. Okay, so very inanimate things. Who's your guru? The earth, air, sky, water, fire, moon, sun, pigeon, python, etc. It's how can you make a moth your guru? It's so clearly this means find a nice prostitute and take initiation from her. No, it means that the guru is everywhere. Krishna himself says in the 11th canto, Acharyam mam vijanyat. The Acharya, it should be known that the Acharya is me, that I am the Acharya. So, and God is everywhere. So the main teaching, as much as it gets nuanced in all these very detailed expressions, like the moth, is that God is everywhere, and we can see it everywhere, and take advantage of the teaching if and when we're open, because this Avadhuta didn't reach this level of realization just out of his own, how would you say, spiritual power. You have to have some knowledge. Let's hop to Pingala, for example. Pingala is the prostitute who spent all day and all night waiting for a customer or client, and then in the middle of the night she just has this realization that what was I doing, wasting my life, and then a whole song, which is the monologue of Pingala has been isolated into a song that people have appreciated. And what's her name? There's a Guru Kuli who sang these verses. Karnamrita, I think her name is Karnamrita. And so the song of Pingala, because it's a very important moment, she's like, and plus if you think about a prostitute, it's just the epitome of not only its lust, but it's making money from lust. So it's very much in contrast with what is spiritual pursuit and spiritual realization. So to have a prostitute think and realize, what was I doing with my life, waiting to get some sort of fulfillment from a random man, where in reality I should focus on the Lord and how much happiness I could derive from serving Him. But she must have had some knowledge of what is what, that there is a Vishnu guy, and and devotion, and what the purpose of life is. So again, the Guru, Shri Guru, is this one. What would you call it? Entity or reality that may come to you in every form and at any time. Excuse me one second. But obviously the best guru, or say the first guru that should teach you how to see things, is the guru as we see it, as we know this one person who gives us transcendental knowledge that we can extrapolate from everything else. I remember being quite surprised like 20 years ago, thinking, how can she still be a prostitute? Keep in mind that I was a convert. I was 21 years old, 17 years old, reading these stories, hearing the stories, and thinking, she knows about Vishnu, she knows about bhakti, about seva, about the soul not being the body, and she still remained a prostitute? How can that be? And then reality set in, and here I am, cut to 26 years later. I know about so many things, and I'm still lost in sensual and material pursuits. And that's how strong Maya is. It's like a very deluding, hypnotizing influence that no matter how much we know, we just act in against her interest. So it almost goes to show how knowledge as powerful as it is, knowledge means power, and yet with knowledge alone, if you don't apply yourself, so there's jnana and vijnana, applied knowledge, and in our vision, applied knowledge is seva, is bhakti. Unless we engage our senses and actively engage in acts of, let's say, seva, our knowledge doesn't really lead us to the goal as effectively, to the point as the figure of Pingala shows. But anyway, I took a big cut into the list. Let's start from the beginning. So I'll be going back and forth. I'll be analyzing the guru of the moment, starting from the earth, and then going back, kind of hammering back on this point of what, of the, say, the general, the universal quality of the guru and who the guru is. Another point is that there can be, suppose you put a dog in a room with a prostitute and a bee and a beekeeper and a bird and a python and a mountain. Is the dog gonna, oh, excuse me again, is the dog gonna take advantage of the presence of these gurus? Isn't it rather that it's the avaduta, being a sadhu, being a self-realized person, whose heart is tuned into the guruness of everything around us? It's almost a way to say that the guru is inside your heart. And it's true, because, you know, at the end of the day, the guru gives you knowledge. A lot of things get transferred from the guru to the disciple, but let's just go with knowledge. It is said that a speck of dust in Vrindavan has more knowledge than the whole material manifestation combined. And we see the example of many less striking example of the Manjaris, the gopis, who are simple village girls as they're usually depicted, who come here and they are very knowledgeable and you know, highly self-realized people, such as the six Goswamis and many of our acharyas. But the contrast is even stronger in saying that a speck of dust has more knowledge than the whole material manifestation combined. Why? Because there's no knowledge here. So a speck of knowledge is more than any knowledge that can be found here. 1 compared to 0 is everything. In computer terms, in binary terms, or if you want to get more esoteric in cartomancy or astrology and so many things, if you get 0, 1 is the very first unit, but compared to 0 it corresponds the beginning, it also corresponds the end and everything that there is. Although it's 1, it's only 1, it's the everything. So in the material, let's call it world, there's no knowledge. Spiritual reality is Satchidananda, so it's cognizant, it's eternal and full of bliss. And the material world is described as Asat Achit Nirananda. I recently found a video, like I don't know, somewhere on social media, a blind person saying, a lot of people think or ask me if I see all black or what do I see. And I tell them, I just don't see any more than you can see out of your elbow. It's not that I hear, and meanwhile, when it comes to seeing, it's all black. Of course, some people are partially blind. They see light, they see shadows, just not as we see. But people who are born blind, they're just, no input goes to their brain. So there's just no knowledge here. If you extract all the consciousness, you know, the demigod, anything that is conscious from the material world, there's no knowledge to be found. So in one sense, going back to the avaduta, the guru is in your heart because, yes, you as a conscious being are the one who knows things, who can know things, who can appreciate. Like it said, consciousness gives a meaning to matter. So that's the key, I would say, in which we should really understand these verses. Otherwise, How is a mountain our guru? Is the guru actively giving us knowledge? No, it's how we react to the mountain. We hear many times about Mahaprabhu, how he would react to a tree. He wouldn't just walk by and see a tree or like, oh, I can get a mango out of that tree one day, if I'm hungry or something. He sees a tree and let's say that he imagines the tree saying, why aren't you tolerant like me, etc., etc. So that's what I meant by the moment we make sense of the environment as soul, as units of consciousness, which give matter meaning, and to the extent, to the in the same in the measure that we do that, then we can see the whole world as our guru, and the whole world becomes an abode of joy. Vishwam Purnam Sukhayate. The whole world gives us joy. Sukhayate gives us joy. So these 24 gurus are actually 24,000 million infinite gurus. One verse I like is the one that says, forget the Sanskrit or most of it, Samashrita ye padapallava plavam. It's the verse that says that for those who have taken shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, who are like a vessel. Okay, now it says that for those who have taken shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord can cross over the ocean of material existence with the same ease that somebody would step over the water. So the ocean of material existence is like the water contained in the hoof print of a calf. And we've had calves here. We don't have calves right now, but we do have rain. I thought I couldn't even log in today. I thought the internet would go down because it was raining really, really hard. And after it stopped raining, we have cows, so we do see cow hoof prints and sometimes calf hoof prints. And every time I see that verse, I'm reminded. Every time I see the water included, contained in the hoof print of a calf, I'm reminded of that verse that says that, and we step over these cow hoof prints. We don't even think about it. But again, when I am on a good day, when I'm particularly tuned in or self-realized, I step over these calf hoof prints, and I remember this verse. Just see, by taking shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, one day I'll be crossing the ocean of material existence as easily as I'm now stepping over these little bit of water contained in a calf hoof print. So I could say the calf is my guru. Here's your 25th guru, the calf, or the hoof print of a calf is my guru. Or rather, me as a spirit soul, as a unit of consciousness who's had the incredible luck of getting in touch with a self-realized person, or anybody who pointed me in the way, I'm making now sense of matter in a way that I see the Guru everywhere, and therefore Vrindavan everywhere. You may know that Vrindavan is equated with the Guru because it's a land of gurus, as Sridhar Maharaj says, because, as I said, any speck of dust could be our guru. From our perspective here, the whole land could teach us. And what is the teaching? It's seva. So everything in Vrindavan is permeated with a concern for seva, or a connection with Krishna, with the center. Seva can be any form. Keep in mind that contemplation is seva, smarana is seva. It doesn't necessarily mean the involvement of a manjari in active seva to Krishna, but let's think of seva in the most generic application. Just tuning into the summum bonum, let's say Krishna. So any part of Vrindavan is permeated with this feeling, with this concern for seva, and that's what the Guru is. Guru is Vrindavan in one person. And so they say that we realize one day that Vrindavan is not a destination, it's not a geographical designation. The whole world becomes Vrindavan. That's a way to see it. If you see everything in relation to Krishna, then you're in Vrindavan. That's what happens in Vrindavan. You're like tuned into the Vrindavan reality. I don't know how many of you followed my lessons, but I tend to go on this crusade against a geographical, anatomical, just space and time limited vision of transcendence. You will always fail. You just cannot contain transcendental knowledge, the transcendental reality within our geographical, but the soul is situated there. Oh, but if it's like this, how's it going to be like that? Just don't even go there. So, yes, Vrindavan is the, what would you call it? That reality that we usually hear depicted as whatever, meadows and pastures and little villages, but it's a state of consciousness. Actually, no, but it's a state of consciousness. It's a level. It's not that one excludes the other. So yes, if you see your guru talking to you from everything, then you're in Vrindavan. So back to the list. Let's see if I can start. The earth is the first one. Now you can see that this, oh my god, it's already late. You can see that the point is driven over and over and over. Basically, it's saying that the elements are your guru, the earth, the wind, so the air, the fire, and the water, and the sky. It would probably be good if you could log into the Srimad Bhagavatam online or open it, and we're talking about the 7th chapter of the 11th canto, or you can just try to follow me as I speak. But you can see that this list includes the 4 elements plus the ether. So it says sky, it means the ether, the one that contains all the gross elements within itself. And then it talks about the sun and the moon. In other words, it's saying no matter where you look, I mean, we can be oblivious of the sun and its presence in our lives, in our days. Even now it's overcast where I am, but still I know the sun is there. I know it's not night because the sun is so in your face. It's so evident that if we want to tune into this message of the Bhagavatam, then every day we can be reminded of the Guru and the teaching of the sun. And by extension that, oh yes, anything out here can be my guru. And what is my guru telling me? Oh, to be a servant. So we can tune in or tune back in our constitutional position of servant. And that's an art that we hone by following the Bhagavatam that gives us, in the very least, 24, again, out of an infinity of gurus that we can find or discover in matter. So, the earth. Let's see how the earth is our guru. Now, the earth is mentioned, but then the verses go on to describe a mountain and a tree. So it's about this like steadiness, like the earth is sustains us all and suffers everything, does not complain. Everything that happens on the earth. If we want to see it, again, if we consciousness give meaning to matter, we see that the earth is stepped on by us and doesn't complain. The mountain is also an expression of the earth, because we may not perceive the earth. We just, step on it all the time. We just walk, we go about our business. But then a mountain is a much more prominent expression or extension of the earth. A lot of mountains are sacred. When there's a mountain that sticks out, like in Australia, I forget the name of that mountain, Mount Shasta in California, or the Everest, out of a chain of a ridge of mountain, if there's one that sticks out, it catches your eyes and it makes you think, if you're lucky enough, about higher topics. So you see a mountain and you think, wow, it's so big, and you start worshiping them. And then you realize, meanwhile, everybody's walking on that mountain. It provides shelter to birds and trees, and so much happens to a mountain, and you learn so many things. In the Vedic scriptures, they're fond of talking about Indra smashing the peaks of mountains with his lightning weapon. I've never seen a lightning destroying, like making the peak of a mountain explode, but apparently it does have that power. I mean, if you read online or if you see on the internet, they say that a lightning bolt is, I forgot how many times hotter than the sun. And then you read that people are stricken by lightning twice, and you're like, how does that work? I'll never understand volts and watts and amperes, but it's a lot of power. So a mountain will withstand the attack of lightning and wind. So many, let's say, offenses from nature, from the world around it, and people step on it, and animals, everything happens to the mountain, but it doesn't move. It still stays there, tolerates everything without complaining. And another point about the mountain is that the bigger it is, the more service it gives. So what I was talking about before about giving a more maybe modern or Gaudiya spin on all these verses is that what this verse doesn't say in the 11th canto is something I can remind you of or bring your mind to. What they say about Govardhan. Govardhan Hill is described as the best devotee of Hari, because it provides Krishna with a playground and creeks and water, and all the items for worship are offered by Govardhan. So you can see that a mountain does the same. And a Vaishnav. So the teaching behind these verses are, for every guru that is mentioned, is either be like me, so be like the earth, be like the mountain, be like the tree, or don't be like me, or just see that this happens. Like, in the case of, the honey keeper, it doesn't say go steal honey from the bees. It means as much as you will accumulate in life, it will always be taken, just like bees. In Vedic times, there wasn't much a tradition of beekeeping, like domesticating bees. It was more like the hunter. In fact, here it says the hunter goes to the hive and they just cut the whole thing off the tree and they steal all the honey. And I remember being in Vrindavan and somebody was selling honey in a bottle, and a devotee who was with me said, we don't drink honey because it's not vegetarian or something, because one thing is to be a beekeeper and get the honey from the cells, and one thing is to destroy a whole colony and then squeeze, and I think they squeeze the beehive and they just get the honey like a bear practically. So it's not exactly a non-violent practice. And I would say that even while through beekeeping, some violence is involved, but let's not go there. So the beekeeper, the beekeeper is our guru, not because it teaches us to be like him, but the teaching behind is that, every time we see a beekeeper or a bee hunter, as it says here, we should be reminded, oh, just see, the same could happen to me. I'm accumulating so many everything, wealth and things and books or friendships, but it's all going to be taken away one day. They hammer a lot on attachment and detachment and these basic cores of spiritual life. Even an impersonalist would benefit from the description and the teachings of these 24 gurus. But like I said, we'll try to give it a Gaudiya spin. So, like Govardhan, a mountain is, the bigger it is, the more it serves. And so a Vaishnav, or let's say a sadhu, sometimes if they stick out like a sadhu, people start going to them and wanting things from him, and there is this risk of puja, labha, and pratishtha. So as you become a prominent person, you get worshipped, you get puja, labha, you get a prestige, a position, and you get donations of food and money and stuff. But you should remember that you're actually the servant, just like the mountain serves people with the animals and everybody. The bigger they are, the bigger serve, the more they serve. So that's the teaching behind the mountain as an expression of the earth. Earth is Mother Earth. She's generous. So you can see how, I mean, it's been already 30 minutes. I'm still talking about the first guru. It could literally be one lesson, one talk per guru. So I'm glad I made the generic point, and I'll go back to it as it comes to my mind. I'll be reminding you. But there's so much knowledge, and so much can be gotten, so much transcendental teaching can be gotten out of a mountain, out of a tree. Even when the seed, at least the seed of spiritual knowledge has been planted in your heart by, somebody who has that knowledge. So, anyway, for those of you who are sadhus or gurus or sannyasis, the teaching is, be like a mountain. No matter how big you are, you're a servant. And the higher is your position, the more of a servant you are. Our Guru Tripurari Maharaj says many times that it's a big task to be a guru, because you're actually the servant of all your disciples, all your prospective disciples. And the best guru is the best servant. First of all, because that's what you're teaching, how to become a servant. So you better be the best servant if that's what you want to teach people. And also because the same position forces you to do that, and it's a blessing in a way, because it boosts you to become a better servant yourself. So anyway, you will see that many of these gurus are interchangeable. At this point, I give up going in order, so I'll just speak. I'll just go unbridled, whatever comes to my mind. So, tolerance, forbearance, or let's go with detachment. It can be taught by the wind. The wind is one of the gurus. So, the wind teaches detachment because it carries fragrances, sometimes good fragrances, sometimes bad fragrances. But it just carries them and then it drops them. But the wind is the same. The wind gets into dirty places, clean places. It goes high, it goes low. But yeah, like I said, that's pretty much the teaching. We shouldn't be attached to anything good or bad that happens in our life. We should just breeze through. We should just breeze through the result of our karma, because everything that happens in our life, whether it's good or bad, is just the result of our karma. So if we don't do any more, if we don't involve ourselves deeper in the material lifestyle, then the rest of our life will be aimed at towards our transcendental pursuit, and stuff will still keep happening, good stuff, bad stuff, but as a result, and we should just breeze through. And wind also, if we want to talk about baggage, it also teaches us not only to not be attached to whatever happens to us, but also to not look for further attachment. So people talk a lot about baggage, to travel with a light baggage, because what does the wind carry? Leaves, pollen, spores. The wind travels light, so we should be minimalist or essentialist in our material life. We may not be self-realized yet, be paramahansas, but in the very least, just travel light, not have too many things, too many material pursuits, or be too invested in our material relationships, because it's all going to be blown away by the wind of our karma and the very nature of material nature. Now it's interesting because yes, the wind travels light and lifts leaves, but it can be quite powerful too. It just came to my mind that Hanuman is a manifestation. What would you call him? An incarnation of Vayu, and Hanuman was quite strong. He could be as big as to swallow the sun. I think he had that kind of power. He could be as big as he wanted, as small as he wanted. He could lift a mountain, and he did all these things. And you can see that the wind can lift a house and or a tree if if it so wanted. But like I said, the teaching can be gotten in so many ways, even when we are tuned. The overarching teaching is be tuned into the transcendental message. The wind. Oh, by the way, before I forget, when I think of the wind, how is the wind my guru? Because Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Pavanam Pavatam Asmi. I am of purifiers, I am the wind. So the wind has a purifying quality to it. It sweeps away the leaves, it clears any whatever, fungal stagnation. Personally, I cannot wait for some wind and some dry air because it's very rainy here. I woke up, I don't know what time it was, but it was raining so hard. I thought I would wake up and see all kinds of trees on the ground. My garden is a mud hole. So the wind is coming as a purifying agency. It just takes away, it dries up the water, it takes away any fungi, etc. So whenever the breeze blows, you can be reminded of Krishna, who is among purifiers, is the wind. Then I was saying that there are qualities that are like repeated over and over because the ocean also teaches detachment. It says that just like the ocean gets water from all the rivers, sometimes they're swollen, sometimes they're dry. The rivers do change, but the water, the ocean is unfazed by the no matter how much water gets in it. And then the moon is the same. It teaches that although it changes its phase, it's still the same moon. I mean, a lot of I made a list here, and it's already 10:22. But the moon also teaches you to be unfazed. Yeah, it's quite a lot. That was a huge undertaking. I'd be comfortable myself with talking about this until I run out of breath. Every time I'm asked to talk about, to give the one speaker for the month or whenever that is, I'll just go on this topic because it's really not doing it justice. The python, it says that you should learn from the python to just stay there and eat whatever comes your way, because pythons don't go hunt. I got my doubts about that, but anyway, a python is not. Most reptiles are very not sedentary. What is the word I'm looking for? Static. So whatever comes in front of their whatever hole, they just eat it. So we should be basically. It's the concept of niyamagraha. Any yogi should just eat whatever comes their way. We have the example of Madhavendra Puri and many of the 6 Goswamis. Just don't go look for acquisition. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean food. It means anything. Because again, the teaching is always the same. The basic, pull out, unplug from the karma matrix and get detached from that and attached to what matters. And what matters, well, it's, consciousness. Here it doesn't talk about consciousness much, but, we know the meaning. We know the teaching to be that the real substance is to be found in consciousness, and matter is just a vehicle for consciousness, a way that consciousness expresses itself through. But in and of itself, it's really like getting, I forget if it's an English or an Italian saying, but it's like getting blood out of a turnip. I think it's an English saying. No, we say that in Italian. But anyway, there's just, like I said, just like a blind person just cannot see, we cannot get real fulfillment and joy or knowledge from matter. Matter is just inert ingredients. And then even matter, material energy, as an energy, could be taken as an expression of consciousness. There's nothing but consciousness. So the highest teaching can be found in any one of these gurus. What was I talking about? The Python. So I was saying that many of the teachings are the basic ones, and they are reflected over and over. The moon, the wind teaches detachment, but also the ocean, because not detachment. I'm getting lost here. What was I talking about? The ocean is unfazed. So yeah, the moon is unfazed. The ocean. I'm getting nervous because it's we're practically 5 minutes from the end, and I was thinking of asking for questions. Now, I don't quite see the live feed on YouTube somehow because I didn't log in, and let me just log into YouTube. There's probably a bunch of questions I don't even see there. Meanwhile, there's something on Zoom. Sharada said, no, blood out of a stone is what we say in English. Okay, in Italian we say blood of a turnip, out of a turnip. I guess a beet, because a turnip is white. Like a beet would make you think that there's blood in it because it's red, but anyway. Meanwhile, there's a question from Sharada who says, question about attachment to other material relationships. Are devotees included in material relationships? I've heard not. These are transcendental relationships, along with one between disciple and Gurudev. That's probably the only question I have time to address. Again, it all depends on your level of consciousness. Nothing is absolute in and of itself, especially in the material world, because we're talking about material relationships with devotees. In as much as you see them as devotees, then you have a transcendental relationship. What were you saying? Transcendental meaning that it's not a material relationship. If you are born to a Vaishnavi and you see her as a mother and only as a mother, yes, you may get some benefit from being, the son of a Vaishnavi. But for all intents and purposes, she's just your mother. Now, I don't want to make a parallel, but I remember Gaur saying that people were telling him, wow, you're so lucky to be the son of a disciple of Prabhupada, and it must be whatever they were saying. And he was thinking, she's just my mom. Now, I'm not saying that he doesn't have any, reverence for her life of service or any acknowledgement, but, if you see that one lady as just your mom, that's what you're going to get out of that relationship. So it's really all about your level of consciousness and how you make sense of matter. In this case, matter is a material relationship. And if you see your husband or wife as somebody you can serve with, or even just, here's another soul trapped in a material body. Again, it depends on what meaning you get out of it. Then you make it a spiritual relationship. But in and of itself, I wish it was that simple to say, oh, I'm married to a Vaishnava and ours is a transcendental relationship. Well, no, if you're just thinking about shopping or other things that couples do together, then that's all it is. It doesn't matter, That would be my very hasty answer and the first thing that came to my mind. Let me just see if there's something on YouTube. There I am. Oh no, if you're talking. Okay, I don't see any questions. Right, okay, blood from a stone. So we've ascertained that. One final note, we'll be dubbing this hint of a class in Spanish because the translator wasn't available, and I guess we're gonna stop at this. It was really just what is the word, gargantuan, trying to address this topic, and I really didn't do it justice. But like I said, every time I'm asked to talk about it, I will gladly go deeper and deeper and deeper on this topic. And because, as we said, it's about Krishna consciousness, or Gaudiya Vaishnavism, or Gaudiya Vedanta. It's we can get all the teachings we want out of this. Let me see if there's one last comment on the Zoom. So yeah, I would finish here. I'm going to thank you and apologizing for really not... Oh, there's another question? Oh, there's a bunch of questions I didn't see. Okay, Gayatri says, I really appreciate the point you made about the wind, that we're to breeze through anything good and bad. Also your realization, as I understood it, about Pingala, sorry if I'm spelling it wrong, and how strong Maya is, even after so many years on the path in this life and still attached to material enjoyment. Okay, so it was just a comment. Like I said, it really started late and limping. I would be glad to just go on this and just go deeper and deeper and talk about this every time I'm asked to talk. This will be my topic until I exhaust everything that there is to say. For now, we'll close here because we're out of time, and I'll see you next time, whenever that is. Sorry for the... all the mishaps and my, I want to say sorry for me, but come on. Like I said, I prayed to be a transparent medium, but it was really a shaky beginning. So we'll be doing better and better as we progress with this study. For now, I'll say goodbye. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Sriman Syamasundara Prabhu ki jai.